Hi, my name is Hermie Borain. In this video, I will give you an overview of how to analyze compensation of employees, abbreviated as COE. This analysis is part of the expenditure analysis step, or step 4, in a spending review. And it is done additional to the analysis of other expenditure items presented by Karen and Michleli. We are fortunate to have access to partial data, which enables us to have a much more detailed understanding of personnel expenditure than what is available in BAS. COE is a significant share of total expenditure in any department and therefore an area of potential savings and efficiency gains. Traditionally, we would analyze total COE, and we know that it is growing fast, typically at a rate higher than consumer price inflation. For the past few years, National Treasury capped growth in COE budgets. Departments had to stay within the parameters set by National Treasury and at the same time implement the negotiated wage agreement terms. So increasingly it becomes critical to better understand COE growth in more detail. Intuitively, we understand that compensation will be increased if we increase our establishment and or if we increase salaries and benefits. So, to slow down COE growth, we therefore have to control both the number of personnel and their salaries and benefits. So, personnel analysis aiming at finding savings will focus on two main components, namely personnel reduction and salary growth reduction. A fundamental concept in personnel analysis as we do it in the spending reviews is full-time equivalence. We count personnel in terms of full count equivalence. This differs from the traditional approach of headcounts measurement. Headcounts are counts of personnel numbers at a specific date. It provides a very static snapshot picture of the personnel situation, which we know is basically highly variable or may be highly variable from month to month as people move in and out of departments. Whereas a full-time equivalent measure is more stable and better related to total compensation expenditure. The example on the slide shows two departments, A and B. Department A has 2 people who each worked the whole year. So, their full-time equivalent is 2, and the headcounts is also 2 for the year. But Department B, on the other hand, had 12 people, each working for 1 month only. If we add it in terms of full-time equivalents, it equates to 1. 12 people, each worked for 1 month only. So it's the same as 1 person working full-time. The headcount could be anything between 0 and 12, depending on which month is selected to do the count. So the example shows that headcounts could be quite a misleading measure of total personnel in a department in a year. So we will now split the total compensation into 2 components and separately analyze them. We want to know why COE has grown so fast. Is it because of more personnel, or is it due to above inflation growth in salaries? So, firstly, we look at the number of personnel measured in terms of full-time equivalent. So what you see on this slide is the full-time equivalent for the years between 2006 and 2019 for the whole of national and provincial government, excluding defence. And we can see that the personnel grew until 2012, and after that it decreased with a slight uptick in the last year. So the recent expenditure on the aggregate, the expenditure growth on the total cannot be attributed to a growth in personnel. But this, of course, is not necessarily true at departmental level and should be further investigated, because that could be one of the reasons for personnel or for total COE growth. We now ask the question, what is the contribution of salary growth to the increase in total compensation? So first we have to calculate the average annual salary. To do that, we divide the total COE by the number of people, measured in terms of full-time equivalent for each year. And that gives us an average annual salary. In this table, real values are used, so values are expressed in 2019 Rand value, and the effect of inflation has been removed. So it's clear to see that the average salary in 2006 was 283,000, and that has increased over this period to 414,000 in 2019. So clearly, salaries, benefits and allowances grew faster than inflation over this period. It is well known that cost of living adjustments for a large group of public servants were above consumer price inflation. Furthermore, benefits such as medical and housing improved. Many public servants qualify for annual notch increases, which is currently 1.5% per year for most occupational groups. These factors jointly contributed to the wage bill being too high and growing faster than other budget items at the same time. So this is for the aggregate, and the question that we will answer is there any savings in COE possible at departmental level by slowing down the growth in salaries, benefits and allowances? Let us focus now on measures to reduce personnel. Personnel reduction can be achieved by natural attrition, voluntary severance packages, and early retirement incentives. Contract appointments could be reduced. Natural attrition is achieved by not filling all vacancies. In the table you can see that in 2018 there were close to 5,000 fewer appointments than terminations. So natural attrition is already a reality at the aggregate level. Each department has to monitor this balance between terminations and appointments. The age profile gives an indication of possible savings in the age group 55 plus. These are the candidates for early retirement and retirement. In SAPS alone, 4.6 billion rand was spent on COE in the 56 plus age group in 2018-19. The second option to reduce overall compensation growth is to slow down the growth in average salary. The wage agreement plays the most significant role in average salary growth, but departments still have a small window of control over salary growth. Departments can control progression, promotions, and reduce overtime and performance bonuses. Performance bonuses amounted to 2 billion rand overall in 2019-20, and shifts and overtime made up 14 billion rand. This and other discretionary benefits and allowances could be reduced by departments to slow down salary growth. So, in summary, personnel analysis involves looking for savings in two broad areas, namely reducing personnel numbers and reducing average salary growth. For this analysis, we use a big data approach, using personnel expenditure records as captured on PASHAL. PASHAL covers national and provincial departments in a lot of detail. PASHAL is a personnel and salary system with many data sets. The power of our analysis is to bring together personal data and expenditure at the personal level, say per person. The data is of a good quality in terms of detail, timeliness, completeness, consistency. The data is actual payments made to employees, so there is a degree of self-moderation which contributes to the accuracy of the amounts. BAS draws data from PASHAL, but in less detail, more summarized data. So you can analyze COE on BAS, but it only provides expenditure. There is no information on the numbers of personnel in BAS. PASHAL has a lot of detail at the personal level, from which we created a data set with all the information required to analyze compensation spending at departmental level. In the next video, I will do an overview of the data. I hope that this video helped to better understand what we mean by compensation analysis or personnel analysis. Thanks for joining me.